everyone. Welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high-performance aftermarket car parts. They have it going on. Go to jegs.com. All right. Atlanta. So when I think of this race at Atlanta, I think of Daytona International Motor Speedway, right? You got Talladega's the quickest, and when you get to Daytona, so Talladega's the big boy. Daytona's just a little smaller, a little narrower than it's Atlanta. I qualified at Atlanta like 220 mile an hour going into the corners. So Atlanta is a really fast racetrack right now. I think of the great Dick Trickle when he said, you must first finish to finish first. So, I mean, they had it going on. They were bump drafting. They were, wiggling. Those guys were a little out of control the whole race. We had Bubba Wallace, who, he wrecked out pretty early, coming off of turn 2. And that's all that was really going on. I thought the drivers were using the great Dick Trickle theory. You must first finish to finish first. But 71 laps to go, all hell broke loose. Harvick, hashtag forever, the number 4 ever, right? Because we know this is Harvick's last year. And hey, Harvick has been running good. We thought Harvick was going to win Phoenix, and that late race caution took him out. I mean, realistically, Harvick could easily won 2 in a row. But 71 laps to go, Harvick's leading this race, right? And Ross Chastain just breathes on him. I mean, we went to commercial with Clint Boyer and Tony Stewart and everybody going, oh, yeah, Ross Chastain knocked the hell out of Kevin Harvick, spun him out. Listen to my voice. Spun him out. So we come back from commercial on Fox, and they're like, hey, we got to apologize. Look at this. And Ross Chastain never touched Kevin Harvick. Now, listen, I love Harvick. I got no, some people are like, well, he did this to me. Come on. Maybe he had to because, maybe Ross Chastain's car was a little unstable. You can't ask for these cars to be perfect. These guys are on the edge. And we saw that with Harvick. So we saw that. Listen, Chastain maybe got 1 foot off his rear bumper. And yeah, he went like that, but maybe he did that because that's what his car wanted to do. Maybe his car got a little looser or pushed. And Harvick's car spun right out. It just spun right out. So that was the big one. That Talladega's right down the road from Atlanta. I don't think it's 2 hours away. And that was the big one. It took out William Byron, took out a cast of characters. But that was not Ross Chastain's fault. That's what you call one of those racing deals. Or back in the day, he took the air off my spoiler. Where'd he go with it? I always thought that was funny. Oh, John Boy and Billy, the Fox. It's a radio show down there. They used to make fun of that. Hey, he took the air off my spoiler. Give it back to me. This was a low downforce package. And this is what the drivers wanted. The drivers said, hey, these cars are too stuck. So if you remember that big test, they had a test at Phoenix. They had a big old 5-inch spoiler. They went down and it had like a 2-inch spoiler. These guys were out of control. So we saw that with Harvick. And I must say, Harvick is one of the most neutral race cars, meaning he's almost loose all the time. Harvick just barely turns wheel left. He's won a lot of races, championships, driving like that. But finally, cars are really on edge. And listen, as an ex-NASCAR driver, I felt it. I saw it. They all got to have whiplash. They was come down the straightaway every lap, bam! Now, you guys wanted a little bit more of something. I don't know. There's a couple of you that wanted more. And I'm like, man, they're side by side. They're knocking the hell out of each other. So, all right, let's clean it up. Ready? 71 to go. I just went through that with you. The big one happens. And now, out of nowhere, we go back green flag. Now, this is 51 laps to go. So we made it 20 more laps. And Eric Almirola is out there with 72 laps on his tires. That's pushing it, right? Running that speed. You're wide open. They're not lifting. You can hear the in-car camera. They're wide open. And they're not going to let out of the gas. What they're going to do is they're going to drag the brake. They're going to keep the throttle laid down, right? They're going to do that because if you let off the gas, then the motor can't recover. Whoa. So big brakes, they're hauling around here. Well, 72 laps on Eric Almirola's right rear tire. Boom, blows out, coming off of turn 2, and there's Kyle Larson. Bam. Kyle Larson's in it. Then you got Daniel Suarez. He's in it. I think you had Justin Haley maybe in it. There was 5 or 6 cars that got some damage. So all right, and I think Eric Almirola was shaking up pretty good. Now I know that they fixed these cars up a little bit. They've weakened them up a little bit during the winter. They showed a picture. Kurt Busch is still injured, and these cars hit too hard. They got to make them collapse a little bit. So what they did, they made elongated holes in the rear roll bars. So when they hit, it will collapse a little bit. They're not round holes. They look like a racetrack. There's a whole bunch of these throughout the rear roll bars, so it weakens that rear end up a little bit. But Eric, I think he's shaking up a little bit. I don't know if they did an interview or not, but we'll see how Eric's doing tomorrow. He told his team on the radio, boy, that was a hard hit. And when he got out of the car, so we'll see how he's doing. All right, let's go from there. 51 to go. 51 to go. And I'm going to tell you what, Brad Keselowski's in control of this race. The 6 car has not won since 2005 when David Reagan won. And I'm going to tell you what, don't ever doubt Brad Keselowski's ability right now. Remember, Brad Keselowski left Penske Racing. Maybe it was good timing. Maybe Roger didn't want him anymore, but he left because Jack Roush said, hey, look, I'm getting old. My name's Jack Roush. I'm getting old. Brad, will you come run Roush Racing? Brad, will you be the future? But, Brad's had to bite the bullet a little bit because now he's rebuilding this team. But I've watched Brad run a lot better this year already, this early in the year. So he's leading this race. And listen, the fastest car won the race, Joey Logano. Joey Logano, ran good, but wasn't leading a lot of the day. Had to come, from the back of the pack up to the front. And Joey Logano was just sawing the rear bumper of Brad off, and they're side by side. And I mean, I'm on pins and needles. I'm like, my God, how long can they keep doing this? And that's the big story in racing right now is, look, all you young kids, quit wrecking each other. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, side by side, 51 laps. It was crazy. So in the end, white flags in the air. They go into one. Logano's behind Brad and makes this power move. Brad says, I could not hold him off. And I think Brad was comfortable. Nobody wants to lose a race on the white flag lap, but it happens all the time. And it was crazy. So Joey Logano is side by side going down the back straightaway. And, lo and behold, there's Christopher Bell. Bam! Hits Joey Logano, sends him on, and Logano wins the race. That was it. So it was a good race. I want to give a shout out to Corey LaJoie. Finishes 4th. That was a big run by him. Eric Jones is in the top 10. So I thought it was a hell of a race. I don't know what anybody else would have wanted. You must first finish to finish first. I'm going to leave you all with this. I was caught off guard. Something Joey Logano did. So Tom Logano, the dad, comes running out to the make-believe victory lane out on the front straightaway. And Joey Logano starts to cry. You can hear him choking up. And he says, look, man, he says, we're from the Northeast, but this is where I started my career. And that little bandolero, a little bit bigger than a go-kart, right there on the front straightaway. They put a little racetrack when Joey Logano was a little kid. So Joey's saying, hey, look, I moved south. This is where my dad started teaching me on the front straightaway here. The Legends cars, the Bandolero cars. And Joey felt like it's come full circle. So it's pretty awesome. A hell of a race in my book. A lot to cover right there. I think that's it. I think we covered it all. Gave you all my opinion on Josh Williams. That's been up. Gave you all the crazy sound bites during the rain out on Friday. You know what? Here lately, NASCAR is a gift that just keeps giving. It's given us everything. It really has. All right. Well, listen now. Did you notice anything? We got a whole new setup. Herminator and Charlie Marlowe got a nice computer, and we got a microphone. And so I think that's going to work out real well, and you're going to hear us better in podcast form on iTunes or Spotify. And by the way, if you're on the podcast show, the Kenny Wallace Show, you're probably pulling into work right now. All right, everybody, we got a lot more coming. I went to Bristol. We got a lot of content from Bristol. Stay tuned for that. And until next time.